There is a city like no other, a city at the center of prophecy, faith, and history, a city where kings ruled, prophets cried, and the Son of God walked. It has been destroyed and rebuilt, loved and hated, but never forgotten. This is Jerusalem, and today we take you on a journey through time, faith, and divine purpose to uncover the biblical history of Jerusalem, not just a city, but a calling, a living story written by the hand of God. Welcome to the Bible Stories with Gian channel. Before Jerusalem was called Jerusalem, it was known simply as Salem, a word meaning peace. And the very first time it appears in the Bible is in the book of Genesis, chapter 14. Abraham, the father of faith, meets a mysterious figure after rescuing his nephew Lot. This man is Melchizedek, king of Salem and priest of God Most High. He brings out bread and wine and blesses Abraham. That moment is more than just a meeting. It sets the spiritual foundation of the city. It tells us this land is holy. This is a city of peace, a city of worship, and a city chosen long before its people ever arrived. Melchizedek's appearance foreshadows a greater priesthood, one that would later be fulfilled in Jesus himself. The city of Salem is already carrying the weight of prophecy. Not long after, God makes a promise to Abraham, a covenant. He tells him that his descendants will inherit a land stretching far and wide, including the region that would one day become Jerusalem. Abraham builds altars wherever he goes, worshiping God and marking the land with faith. Though he never sees the full promise come true in his lifetime, he walks the land with hope. The hills around Jerusalem echo with the footsteps of the man who trusted God above all else. This moment teaches us something powerful, that God's promises may take time, but they never fail. The foundation of Jerusalem was not laid with bricks, but with faith. For centuries, Jerusalem was inhabited by the Jebusites, a Canaanite tribe. The city stood on a hill, strong and heavily fortified. Many thought it was impossible to conquer, but God had other plans. In 2 Samuel 5, we read how David, the shepherd boy who became king, defeats the Jebusites and takes Jerusalem. He doesn't just claim it for military purposes. He makes it the capital of Israel, and more importantly, the spiritual center. He brings the Ark of the Covenant to the city with great celebration. The Ark represented God's presence, and David danced in joy as it entered the city gates. For David, Jerusalem was not just a throne, it was a sanctuary. He even wrote in the Psalms, "If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget its skill." David loved the city, not for power, but for what it meant in God's plan. David dreamed of building a temple for God, but it was his son, Solomon, who fulfilled that dream. In 1 Kings 6, Solomon begins construction of what would become the first temple, a magnificent structure filled with gold, cedar, and the glory of God. It took 7 years to build. Thousands of workers, artisans, and priests contributed. When it was finished, Solomon prayed, and the glory of God filled the temple like a cloud. The people knew this was not just a building, it was a place where heaven touched earth. The temple became the heartbeat of the nation. People came to pray, to worship, to bring sacrifices. It was a symbol of God's presence and power. At its peak, Jerusalem was a city of wisdom, peace, and divine favor. But the golden age did not last forever. Over time, the hearts of the people turned cold. They worshipped idols, they forgot the commandments. Prophets like Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel warned them, "If you do not return to God, the city will fall." Yet the people didn't listen. God is patient, but he is also just. And in 586 BC, the Babylonians, led by King Nebuchadnezzar, invaded. They destroyed the temple. They burned the city. They took thousands into exile. Jerusalem, once filled with praise, now echoed with sorrow. But even in judgment, God gave a message of hope. Through the prophet Jeremiah, God speaks again. I will gather them from all the countries. I will bring them back to this place and let them dwell in safety. They shall be my people, and I will be their God. Jeremiah 32:37-38. Jerusalem would rise again, and it did. Under Persian rule, leaders like Ezra, Zerubbabel, and Nehemiah returned. They rebuilt the walls, restored worship, and re-established the reading of the law. It wasn't as glorious as before, but the people were more humble, more faithful. The city, once broken, now beat again with purpose. Hundreds of years later, in this same city, the most important chapter unfolds. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, enters Jerusalem. The people wave palm branches and shout, "Hosanna!" But within days, the cheers turn to hatred. Jesus is arrested, judged, and crucified just outside the city walls. But his death was not defeat. It was the final sacrifice, the fulfillment of every prophecy spoken in Jerusalem. And 3 days later, he rises again. The temple veil is torn. Access to God is no longer limited. Through Jesus, the message of hope, grace, and salvation flows from Jerusalem to the ends of the earth. Today, Jerusalem remains a city of tension, beauty, and faith. But the Bible says the story isn't over. In Revelation, the Apostle John sees a vision, a new Jerusalem coming down from heaven like a bride, shining with glory. A city where there is no more pain, no more tears, no more death. Until then, we look at Jerusalem not just as a place on the map, but a reminder that God's promises are real, that faith can move nations, and that no matter how broken the world gets, redemption is always possible. Jerusalem was chosen by God, and it is still a city that calls people to believe. Its stones whisper ancient truths. Its hills remember prayers spoken in pain and hope, and its future holds the return of a king. May its story remind us, no matter how lost we are never forgotten. No matter how far we fall, we are never too far to rise again. This is the biblical history of Jerusalem, and it's still being written, one heart at a time. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring Bible stories. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Take care. God bless you all.